Hi, I'm Matt with eTrailer, and today we're talking about the CURT Rooftop Basket on top of our 2024 Jeep Compass. Now, this is going to be a great option for the Compass because, as you probably realize, we don't have a whole lot of space in the back. So if you are going on a vacation with your family or you're doing any other big trips, you're going to be very limited on what you can haul, especially if this is filled up with people. So a solution for you is going to be a rooftop basket, because that's going to be able to store a lot of your luggage, any of your gear, or anything else along those lines. The first thing I want to show you is just how much space we're going to have on the inside, just so you know what you can load this up with. So your length is going to be a little bit under 37.5 inches. Now, if you are worried about if you have any longer items that you're worried that they're not going to fit in here, what you can do is go over here to this front fairing. You can remove that just by taking off a few bolts. And what you can do then is just put down any of your longer items, whether that be lumber or anything else along those lines. What that front fairing is doing is just helping to reduce any wind noise or help deflect that wind from going through here and creating some wind noise. And for the width, that's going to be the same distance of 37.5 or just slightly below it. And that's pretty much taking up a majority of our roof. We do have just a little bit of space over here, but I am a fan of how wide that is because I think it's going to match our roof really nicely. But of course, when you are putting anything in here, you should strap those items down, which leads me into my next point. When you are strapping anything to this, you're going to have a lot of great points to use as anchor points. Now, if you do have any bungee cords with metal hooks on them, do be wary, because if you do put these on here, that metal hook could scratch off some of that finish on here. And what that finish is doing is helping this be more weather resistant. And taking a closer look at that fit, it's really in a really good spot right now because we're not going to be overhanging on top of our windshield, so there's going to be plenty of clearance in that respect. The center is going to be pretty much right there in the middle of our roof. I'm a fan of this. We do have this pulled out just a little bit towards us, just work with this a little bit easier today. And we're going to have plenty of clearance to sit in front of our antenna and when we open up our hatch. Now, if you do have any items that are sticking out of this basket, just make sure you don't have it overhanging too much where it's going to make contact with your hatch. Now, this rack is still adjustable. So I pointed out those rungs earlier, how we have a lot of them lining the bottom. Well, you can actually also move the clamps to fit on different rungs so it sits differently on your roof. Now, with what we have today, we can only adjust this only in one other point on here. So this is going to take up a majority of our basket. And something else to think about, if you do have a compass with flush rails, you'll probably notice on the rear crossbar you have two different locations where you can put that rear crossbar. If you want to use this rack, I recommend using the one closer to your front crossbar, because if it's at this point, you're probably not going to be able to use this basket. But if you are looking at the larger size of this basket, then I'd recommend going with this second point if you want to. Taking a closer look at those clamps to really show you what I'm talking about, this is how it's grabbing onto those rungs. So they're going to be able to work on any of the rungs we have today. And we're going to have these bolts that come up through the top with these wing nuts that tighten it down. Something I don't like about this design though is we have these bolts sticking up from the top. So if you have any cargo bags or any bags in general, they could catch on that and rip open. So just definitely be mindful of what gear you're putting up here and where you're placing it. But at the bottom, this bolt is going to reach all the way across and secure onto your crossbar. It's also going to have this rubber coating to it so it doesn't scratch anything up. And really, you can adjust this quite a bit, so this is going to be able to work with a majority of different crossbars. It's also going to have a weight capacity of up to 150 pounds, It is also important to check what your roof is rated for though, and your crossbar. After when you figure that out, you can go from the lowest rated component. Also take into account that your basket's going to weigh some, and so is your crossbar on top of your roof. So make sure you include that with your cargo. But in my opinion, I think a lot of baskets are going to have a lot in common. There's not going to be much that really makes them different except for the size and how they look on top of your roof. And that's really what's going to be the biggest factor in making your decision in whether this is going to be the right fit for you or not. Like I said earlier, there is the larger size of this, and then we have this one too today. Now, if you're not a big fan of just how this looks, we have plenty of other options on our website. But that's just a look at the CURT Rooftop Cargo Basket on top of our 2024 Jeep Compass. Thanks for watching.